Alright then, well, the occupation that never was took place on Friday the 29th. Several groups turned up, not just the SAT union. And, well, there was no invasion, as had been, much publicised in the British press, etc., and the Spanish press. Only several hundred people turned up and posed for the cameras with their Republican flags, and by doing so giving Spanish Republicans a bad reputation, considering that this anti-Gibraltar business is more of a Franco theme as opposed to a Republican theme. The main emphasis of the protest wasn't anti-Gibraltarian; it was more workers' rights and anti-government. The union which organised this decided to change the emphasis because they didn't get any support from local political groups like Podemos at the beginning, and they didn't get support from the socialists in La Línea, of course, but in the end everybody participated because the slant was changed from what would have been an illegal occupation to a protest, a social protest that fits into the framework of a legal protest. Okay. Carameño, he's one of the leaders of the SAT, has admitted that Gibraltar provides work. That's very generous of him, considering that there are 40,000 unemployed Spaniards in the Campo de Gibraltar, and that Gibraltar provides work for 10,000 Spaniards. But even so, Carameño has threatened very clearly that the possibility of occupying Gibraltar is always there. An absolutely disgraceful statement, of course. The usual guff is still being printed in the Spanish press about what this protest was about. Fiscal paradise, that's one of their favourite catchphrases about Gibraltar. The SAT union have said that Gibraltar is a fiscal paradise, but they haven't said that it's regulated by the European Union, of course. They say that it's a base for imperialists. Okay, that's a very radical opinion, and you could argue that Spain is also a base for imperialists. Why don't they go and invade Spain? If what they're looking for is imperialists, they're everywhere, according to them. Fiscal paradise, well, Switzerland is a fiscal paradise, and it's not regulated by the European Union in the same way that Gibraltar is regulated by the European Union. Proof of this is that most Spanish chorizos, that's the name that Spanish people give to corrupt politicians, most Spanish chorizos put their money in Switzerland and not in Gibraltar. I believe there hasn't been any case of Spanish chorizos being caught with money in Gibraltar, because of course Gib is regulated. They would have been caught very easily. It's interesting that when the king's father left him an inheritance, he left it in a bank account in Switzerland and not in Gibraltar. It's interesting that the Catalan man Pujol, again, his fortune was in Switzerland, not in Gibraltar, etc., etc. There's hardly been any cases of illegal fortunes being hidden away in Gibraltar bank vaults, because Gibraltar is regulated. It has fiscal advantages, of course it does, but it's not, strictly speaking, a fiscal paradise like some other fiscal paradises that are around. So I don't think that SAT's protest is altogether justifiable. Now, I think what was especially sad about this whole incident was that these type of actions, these type of political actions, are more akin to the type of thing that Franco would do. The right-wing fascist movement, the Popular Party in Spain, etc. It's more akin to what they would do, and I think it's it's a bit like playing politics with Spanish workers' jobs, and I think the whole thing has been quite regrettable, and I can't imagine why the SAT have done this. It's obvious that they didn't have support, which is why they changed the slant at the last minute and talked about workers' rights, etc. It's also worth pointing out that there have been several scandals in Spain involving left-wing unions like UGT, leaders of which have been caught red-handed with large quantities of money, stolen money, etc. And I think this is just like to throw the hounds off the scent here. They always come back to Gibraltar. They always come back to the issue of Gibraltar and fiscal paradise, etc. And I just think that this is like to divert attention from what is really happening. And what is really happening is that a lot of people in power in Spain have been caught red-handed with large quantities of money, and it hasn't been in Gibraltar, it's been in Switzerland, it's been in Luxembourg, etc. It's been in other countries, and I think this is just another of those diversionary tactics to throw people off the scent. I think it's quite regrettable, and I think the two people who organised this, the leaders of SAT, have been left with egg on their faces, quite honestly. I think the pressure from other organisations like Podemos and the PSOE movement has been so strong that in the end they just abandoned it, and they've received an awful lot of flack from fascist groups like Gibraltar Español, who have said that the SAT have caved in to pressure. And I think if Carameño is serious about the possibility of occupying Gibraltar in the future, he should rethink this and think this through a little bit, because if it's been a failure once, it'll be a failure again. I think it's damaged the reputation of SAT, and it's demonstrated very clearly that these type of fascist protests against Gibraltar are not something that the left wing in Spain and the Republican wing in Spain should become involved in. I think this is more the style of fascist groups and pro-Franco groups, and it's regrettable. And I'd like to think that it's not going to happen again, but we will see.